Terry, did you... Get on your knees. Did you stupid? Next time, I won't be so polite.
Mecca is dead, and you all are here partying in his penthouse. Would anyone like to tell me how that happened? Somebody better tell me something before I lose my patience.
Pardon me, but who the fuck are you? See what I'm saying? So crass.
Shout out to Positivity Alkaline Water. I'm drinking it. Yeah. Solid stuff.
You already know what it is, man. We back with another great guest. This is King Ace, repping King Ace Network, Moments of Clarity show. First off, before I even start, let me shout out to all my Islamic brothers, all my hijabis. Peace. Oh, man, this is my first Ramadan. It's really rough, but we working in the studio. Shout outs to my sponsors. You got Bell Home Bed Butter. You already know. Just look at my bed. Just look at my bed. Just look at my bed. Moisturize your bed. You know what we do. Bell Home Bed Butter. Then we got the Black Owned Positivity Alkaline Water. You already know what I say. In a room full of negativity, it's always good to bring that positivity, you heard? But we in the month of Ramadan, so ain't no negativity at all. Ain't no negativity. And I can't even drink no water yet. You know what I mean? But we're about to get started on a very, very, very special guest. Introduce yourself, King.
Hey, my name is Kyle Vincent Terry. You may know me as OBOKK from Power Book 2 Ghost. I'm also playing Eric Jordan on the show The Girls on the Bus for HBO Max, premiering March 14th. Streaming
Girls
everywhere.
on the Bus.
Yeah.
Shout outs to HBO. Shout outs to Stars. Shout outs to 50. Good people.
Yeah, shout
good
out
program.
to all of them.
Yeah,
Everybody.
Good program, man. Oh, man. So I want to ask you, how you doing, man?
I'm great. I get to do what I love for a living. I'm incredibly fortunate, incredibly appreciative. I'm at the point now where, in some ways, my image is moving faster than me. So I'm processing that.
What you mean by that?
So, you know, when you shoot television, it goes through all these processes, right? Like you edit, you market, you trim and reshoot.
Right.
And time goes by. And then the image that goes out to the public moves at a rate faster than them interacting with you. So you just got to process that. And that's just something I'm getting used to. There's a lot more people who have an opinion of me than before. So
Okay.
I'm just processing that.
Well, that's a good thing, right?
Sometimes. I was actually talking to my cousin about this earlier today. It's a great thing when what you put forth is consistently who you are, right? Or what you want to communicate. It's a rough thing when you're not specific, because then it can be chopped up and used in whatever way possible. So in my case, yes, it's a very good thing. I'm very specific about what I say.
Yeah, right.
But it's a lot. It's a lot. There are people who think I'm Obi in my DMs, which is great. I love it. But they have all sorts of opinions.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you know it's not me, right?
I want to ask you because, all right, with the Obi character,
Sure.
it's like, I know you to be a very enlightened brother.
Sure.
Very enlightened, very smart. I want to say spiritual, but
I'll take that. Yeah.
how do you differentiate the different characters? You know what I mean? Because
Good question.
you seem to be a guy who is like very, very like good on self. I'm always tuned into the Monday motivation.
Sure.
Always tuned into the
Follow me
Monday
on Instagram.
motivation. How do you differentiate, Kyle from the characters?
It's not that hard. I mean, I've been doing this for a quarter of a decade, but I would say that the easiest thing to do is to allow yourself to think that your character is functioning with a clear mind for what they want. Right? Their objectives are clear to them. I don't judge the character. I assume that the character thinks they're right. And so as long as the character thinks they're right, I don't have to worry about my own judgment encroaching too much, right? Like, would Kyle do? It's unimportant. The character knows what they're willing to do.
Right.
And I'm supposed to advocate for that first and foremost. If I were a more like methody person, not that there's anything wrong with method acting, I just don't think there are that many. I would have to like fully believe it and enrich myself. And I think that comes from being relatively judgmental in order to separate in that way. I just don't need to. Like, if Obi thinks this is the right way of going about business, that's what we're doing. There's no need to mince words. There's no reason to do it. Like, that allows me to sleep at night.
Okay. So how do you how do you prepare for your auditions?
Ooh,
How do you prepare? Some people I remember I interviewed my good brother Rayon Lawrence or whatever. He played in BMF. He played K9, and he was telling me some methods that he uses to memorize his lines and stuff like that. Then just recently I interviewed Miko. He was on the HBO's Euphoria.
Sure.
And he was giving me his method of how he memorized lines. They telling me some people like just go, and Miko told me he'll read the script and he got it to the point where he'll just read the script and then he freestyle it.
Yeah.
What's your strategy?
I mean, it does depend on the project. If it's wordy, like there's some things that are super wordy, procedurals, like when you're playing a cop or a lawyer or a doctor, they're always gonna have a ton of terms in it. And like just being able to process that vocally takes some time. So if let's say I get it on Thursday and I gotta tape it for Monday. Generally speaking, I'll like give myself like, all right, go over this, read through this 5 times. Just read it 5 times and then leave it alone. Next day, read it 5 times, leave it alone. Sunday, start memorizing and then get through 5 complete takes, just saying the words. Leave it alone for a couple hours, come back to it. Then you wake up early, do 5 more, then you tape, and you tape until you get it right.
So you're taping yourself?
Generally speaking, at this point, I've probably had, before final round or screen test or anything, I would say 95% of my auditions are self-tape at this point, which I prefer. Or it's Zoom.
Because you're nice like that now.
Yeah, and I know what I want to see.
Right.
I think there's a world in which when you're younger, you're really trying to give them what you think they want to see. I don't know. I don't know what they want to see. I know what I like. And so if I could do what I like, if the part's mine, great. If it's not mine, cool. If they like me and I'm not doing the right thing, they'll ask.
Okay. So have you ever got a role where you was reading it and you was like, nah, I can't.
Absolutely.
Nah.
I say no a lot.
Nah, I'm not doing this.
I say no a lot. I think it's important to know, 1, how far you can stretch, 2, what you'd be willing to do for, say, 6 months or 4 months. Because sometimes you might be like, oh, the check will be great. But you got to live as that character for really long days.
Right.
For 4 months.
Especially if it's a series.
Yeah.
If it's
it
ongoing.
can be a hit.
Yeah.
And now you're the person you hate being for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
And they got you. You can't take any other projects because you're a series regular, so they want exclusivity. So that's your life, and that's how everybody knows you. So yeah, I say no to a lot of things.
So
I
that's
also-
how you become a series regular.
I don't. There are many ways to become a series regular. The likelihood is really, really small. So I'm not ever going to be the person who irresponsibly says like you just stumble into it. It's a ton of work. It's like anything else. Of everybody that's a SAG member, something like 14% will work in a year. 14% of the union members will work in a year. Those making a living is about 2% of all of us.
Numbers are very low.
So I mean, like, we don't tell kids. I mean, we do. We shouldn't. We tell kids all the time to a fault that, like, if you believe in your dream,
Follow your dreams and stuff like that.
you could follow your dream all day long. A lot of stuff has to happen in order to make it. So
True that.
becoming a series regular requires an audition, generally speaking, a second round, screen test and negotiations, and then once you get through all of that stuff, the executors make a decision.
So when you become that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That basically saying that we want you exclusively for this show and this show only?
All things are negotiable.
Because you
But
could do
generally
movies.
speaking, yes. There will be
you could do
stipulations on
movies,
like
just
what
not
other
another
work you can take.
series like that.
All that is negotiation.
Yeah.
That's when the lawyers get involved. A lot of phone calls. Hey, well, we want him from this many years at this amount. Okay, well, we don't want that much money. We want this amount of money. All right, but if you're gonna give him that amount of money, he wants to pursue other work. All right, you could do 4 episodes of another show, no problem. But no other series regulars because there's other stuff that comes with that. You want to get the door?
So when you first started acting, what was your first role?
My first role was I was in high school, and I played The Wiz in The Wiz. I remember I was playing sports, and I got hurt, and I was like, well, the rule in the house was you either do extracurricular, you get a job. I didn't really want a job at the time, but I loved The Wiz, growing up watching that. So when they auditioned, I'm like, you know what, let me try it. And I got in, and it was just kind of consistently someone saying to me, hey, you're good at this. I would like to invite you to this other place to perform here. Hey, you're good at this. I would like to invite you to play it. Hey, and that's been my career.
Who would be your favorite, like, directors to work with?
Oh, like if I had dream scenarios?
Yeah. Or directors that you have worked with already that you are like, yeah, I want to keep working with these directors.
Great question. I gotta think about that.
Moment of clarity.
Yeah. I would say one is probably Antoine Fuqua is pretty great. I love Christopher Nolan. Spike Lee is like
You worked with Spike?
movie making god. No. I think I really like what Eve does in the Power universe. I think he's great. I think we're gonna see a lot more from Eve Rivera. Met some great people. I'm pretty flexible. Like in terms of dream teams, I don't really dream like that. I accept what's in front of me if it's worth it.
Okay.
But those are people on my list for sure.
All right, now give me some of the best actors that you felt like fit you on set, and it was like you wouldn't mind keep working
that I would
with
like
them.
to work with again. Damn, I can't tell you. I can't tell you. I can't tell you one of them. You almost got me slip up.
All right, so you can't tell me one of them because of
I can't tell you. But great person to work with. Would love to work with them again. I got to work with in a small capacity. My first time in New York, the reason why I moved to New York was to do a production of Othello off Broadway. And I was just like a soldier in it. But Daniel Craig was in it. I thought he was incredible. I think he's just a good human being. Super cool guy. There were several people in that cast I would work with again. It was super star-studded. So I was just happy to be a fly on the wall. But that cast was incredible. John Douglas Thompson, I did a play with him in Boston. He's kind of a staple in a lot of ways in the New York theater scene. And not as much on camera, but works pretty regularly.
Is plays kind of like, okay, let me ask you this, right?
Sure.
Because I'm talking to another actor right now, and he does a lot of plays.
Sure.
So he's telling me like the plays are a good way to get your foot in the door to actually like be on the screens with the movies and TV shows, that they could be good for your portfolio and stuff like that. That maybe I should start with plays.
No disrespect to that person's opinion, I don't agree. To me, none of them are gateways to anything but what they are. Like, if you do a play and you're great at it, the likelihood of you doing a better play increases.
Okay.
If you do a TV show and you're great at it, the likelihood that you will get better work increases. The thought that you're just going to transfer over is not inherently there because they're not the same skill set. The biggest thing about plays is they're athletic. You got to do that 8 times a week if you're on or off Broadway. It's one arc.
Yeah, it's a tour,
right? Like,
yeah.
and you have to fill the house, right? Like, you got to act to the back of the house. That's a different skill than being on camera. Sorry, I touched my mic. But that's a different skill than being on camera, where you don't have to get our attention. It's super intimate. You're the only thing in the frame. So you're not shouting ever.
Okay.
You don't have to project at all. So I think there's a discipline in both that could be, complementary. But I don't think I would never treat them as like a means to a different end.
Okay. How come you ain't named Tyler Perry?
I don't know if Tyler Perry's work is consistently in my wheelhouse. It's not out of disrespect for Tyler Perry. It's just really not necessarily in my wheelhouse. It's not that I haven't seen anything that I was like. It's not that there hasn't been a Tyler Perry production that I haven't enjoyed. It's just not always the work I want to do. If the right project came along, I'll work with anybody. I don't necessarily think that there are people on my list of like will not work with based on the work they've done.
Okay.
It's usually character stuff. But yeah, I'm not anti-Tyler Perry. I actually think he's probably one of the most important cultural figures at this point, regardless of race.
He is. Gotta admit that.
And he's not super powerful only because black people watch him. That being said, like there's plenty of people that aren't at the top of my list. Somebody, if somebody's at the top, somebody has to be lower down.
If somebody's at the top, somebody has to be lower down. So basically, you're saying if you put Tyler Perry up there, then you're kind of like knocking down somebody like Spike Lee or something like that.
Yeah, like I
it's
mean,
like one replaces
like
one.
If you're gonna have the Jordan LeBron debate, it's weird for somebody to be like, why didn't you say Grant Hill? I can't put everybody at the top. Like,
Nah, you're right. You're right.
Like, I love T-Mac. Somebody's got to be number 7. You know what I mean?
Who you think would be on the Mount Rushmore?
Director-wise?
Yeah.
So Spike. I would have to say Scorsese. I just have to.
Okay.
On the Rushmore,
Yeah, this is very important.
it's a tough call.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put Ang Lee up there.
Ang Lee.
I think Ang Lee does beautiful work.
It's one name that I gotta see if you gonna name this person.
All right, I'm at 3, right? It's 5 on Rushmore. Top. Man, you jazz me with this question right now. Who can I watch all the time?
We got 2 more.
2 more? Do I say... Oh, this is a tough call. I'm gonna have to... I think I gotta put Nolan on my list.
Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, I gotta put Nolan on my list.
He's earned that. He's earned that.
I don't know who's my 5. Oh, it's definitely not the one you're thinking of. But I'm gonna say the Coen Brothers. I love the Coen Brothers. Who you think I gotta put on the list?
I thought you was gonna say Will Smith.
As a director?
Yeah, doesn't he direct?
No.
So he doesn't count. Like
No, he's not a
in
director.
a director.
He's an actor. He's a producer.
But doesn't he
Like a
direct
producer.
his own?
Nah. Like I can't think of a project that Will Smith has directed. What has he directed?
I thought he direct his own movies that he does.
Nah.
He doesn't?
No.
Oh, you just told
No,
me something.
no.
All right, yeah. All right, you just told me something.
Yeah.
You just
No,
told me
Will
something.
Smith is the star. But no, he's not a director.
What about female actors? How did you feel about with Taraji coming out saying how, she's underpaid and how a lot of female actors say that they're underpaid. Monique has been saying that for the last few years, and how Taraji, came out with a breakdown saying the same thing.
Honestly, I can't speak to Taraji's experience. I am and forever will be a Taraji P. Henson fan.
Yeah.
Like I just will be. The problem is, like, in this business, market value is determined by market value, right? Like your pay is determined by your market value. It is not a meritocracy. It's not based on how hard you work. It's based on how much people want to see you and in what market. I never count on a day where I won't have to figure it out. And there are plenty of things where I was hoping to get paid more and I didn't get it. And I got to swallow that because I could be a postal worker and get the same pay every week. I can get benefits. I could, have job security. I could be a garbage man, get the same pay every week. I have benefits, job security. I could do a bunch of other things that will absolutely guarantee me security in performance. I didn't choose security, I chose freedom. And freedom comes with risk.
I didn't choose security. I chose freedom.
And it comes
That
with
makes
risk,
a lot of sense.
right? Like,
To be able to move around
yeah.
the way you want to move around, basically.
It's like you could choose to be in the pen, right? Like, they're not the pen is in the joint, but like within the pen with all the other well cared for livestock.
Right.
You never think about who built it. Or you can not have the pen. And now you have to consider what else is out there. And sometimes it's a wolf. And that's freedom, right? Like nothing is guaranteed and the highs are high, the lows are low, and you don't get the luxury of, the consistent thing. So I don't, there's no part of me that thinks she's lying. It's the nature of the business though. And we're never guaranteed security. Every step of the way, once I started moving into on camera, somebody said, hey, I think you're gonna do really well. I'm not promising you anything, right? Like, I'm not promising you anything. They always say that. I'm not promising anything. but I see something. And like I have to remember that. In those moments when there's a lull or maybe it's moving slow, like nobody promised me anything. I stepped out into this world and it will always have highs and lows and people who are in and out. Like,
So does it work this way as far as like when you want a reoccurring show, right? So you have your character on the show.
sure.
The show is getting better each season. People are buying into your character. Does that give you the negotiation space to be able to
Absolutely.
be like,
Yeah.
hey, you see what I did last season, right? I think I deserve this now.
Why would you not? You do that at every other job, right?
Right, true, right.
If my performance is optimizing the productivity of the show or the profitability of the show, I absolutely should negotiate for more. Now, you're also at the mercy of a market, right? So, like, what you can negotiate for is dependent upon the budget of the show. If you are on a show with a lot of people, like Power's a show with a lot of cast members, right? So the amount of negotiation room you have changes because it's a lot of people.
There's other people
to
that
pay.
got to get paid.
And likewise, like, you know, if you're on a more intimate show with a large fan base, you get a little bit more room. That's why the people on Friends can get $100 million an episode or whatever, not $100 million, $1 million an episode, when it's only like 5 of them.
Wow. It ain't much to yeah, it ain't much to spread.
Right.
Because
Right.
it's only
a pie.
5 cats, yeah.
You split it up 20 ways.
Do you
it's
think
20 ways.
do you think that's what makes it different between the shows back in the day and the shows now? Because when you go back then
Yeah.
to the Friends, the Seinfelds,
Sure.
and stuff like that, it wasn't so many. It's like, all right, there's only one leading role. Is there only one leading role? Or
Not
are there
necessarily. I mean,
multiple leading roles?
Friends, Living Single, those are ensemble shows, right? I'm sure, like, if you take, say, if you're talking, like, the difference between, like, a Queen Latifah on Living Single
Right.
or Kim Coles, right? Like, the Queen Latifah has a little bit more negotiating power because she brings a level of prestige and honor and attention that came with her music career.
Right.
So it's still an ensemble show, but of course she's gonna get a little bump because she's already a star.
Right.
In
She's
a way
Queen
that Kim
Latifah,
Coles
right.
quite isn't.
Yeah.
You know, amazing. Like, I love Kim Coles. Like, we know what it is. I would say the biggest difference between now and then is with streaming, or now, like, streaming. The difference with streaming and, say, TV before is that Friends or Seinfeld or all those shows were on network TV. And the difference between network TV and streaming is that network TV has advertising. And the profitability in that is getting ad revenue. So that's what you're negotiating on. If Friends is on TV when there's not a lot to watch and it's Thursday night on NBC, I don't remember the show, I really
right.
remember. But like, if it's on Thursday night and everybody's sitting at home watching it, every advertiser is gonna play top dollar to have their car commercial, their Lipton iced tea commercial, whatever,
right.
during that
It's
slot.
just like how they do it for the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
I heard the Super Bowl, to place your ad on the Super Bowl, was starting at $1 million.
Yep.
Starting
Starts?
at $1 million. Yeah.
Bro, like,
Yeah, it started at $1 million.
started at $1 million.
It was more than that, but the cheapest slot for the Super Bowl starts at $1 million.
It's crazy.
Yeah, ads.
For 30 seconds.
Yeah, 30 seconds. That's
You see
crazy,
that
right?
30 seconds.
But that's how we negotiate things in the podcast show, stuff like that, is with the ad revenue and stuff like
Right.
that.
Like, advertising, sometimes they say that, you know, network TV is advertising for advertising. Right? Like, we're there to tell the story that draws attention, and by drawing attention, you get ad revenue. It's really not that complicated. Streaming is a little different in that the profitability of it is generally based on subscriber base. And the problem with generating more revenue can be, let's say you do a hit show on Netflix. Well, how many more people will subscribe because you have a hit show? If the answer is like, you know, a couple thousand, the wiggle room, the profitability isn't that high
Right.
because they're already subscribed.
Okay. Hey, the more and more when I think about it, I connect the acting game to just like how the music industry is.
Yeah, if you're in the corporate sector, yes.
Yeah.
Treat it the same way. If you work in a corporate sector, treat it like a corporate sector. It's no different in, say, boxing. It's no different in music. It's no different in the art world. When you decide that you want to make money at this, really start figuring out where the money comes from. That's the easiest way to navigate how you want to go about your business.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Did you ever get a scene where you read the script and you were like super, super prepared for it? Like you read a script and you was like, oh yeah, that's it. I can't wait to do this one. What scene was that? Where you like, when you read it, you went over it and said, this is for me and I can't wait to nail this one out.
Oh, I mean, there's been auditions like that. And generally speaking, I didn't get the part.
Appreciate
Like,
the
oh,
honesty.
they talking about me.
Appreciate the
They
honesty.
talking about me. Like chocolatey, sexy. I'm gonna go kill it. And then you put your heart and soul into it, and they go with somebody else. That's the business. I will also say that sometimes when you prepare for something, I tell this if I'm directing all the time, the show in your head is not real because you're playing every part. When you show up to set or you show up to rehearsal, I'm there to learn your part because you have your idea about how you're gonna say that, right? So I could have ping-ponged it all day long, and the minute I get to set, you're gonna say something however you say it, and I gotta respond to that. The best kind of prepared I could be is to know it and then let it go and just respond in the moment, right? Like I'm just responding to you in the moment the same way we're conversing right now. I could have had in my mind every way in which this conversation would go, but my job is just to be present with you.
Okay. Another question.
Yep. Was that a good answer?
Perfect answer.
All right, cool.
That's why I moved on.
Yeah.
It was
All
perfect.
right, all right.
It was perfect. The next question is, how hard is juggling a relationship with the acting career?
It's brutal. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm actually not super great at that.
I figured that. That's why I asked you that,
Yeah.
man.
I made a decision a long time ago to choose like dogged pursuit of something. And for better or for worse, you know, those intimate relationships have had to kind of take a back seat in a lot of ways. Because, you know, as they say in the fight game, you know, women weaken legs. And there's a lot of other things that come with being responsible for the peace of another person. And so I sometimes am like, yo, I don't think that's responsible of me to pretend like I'm gonna be available all the time.
Okay.
Right? Like,
That's maturity when you put it like that.
yeah.
That's maturity. That's being honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can seem somewhat fuckboyish, right? For lack of a better term.
Pretty sure that's the way they say it is, right? Yeah.
But like, you know, there's times when someone really wants to just be around you. And you're like, yo, I can't. Like, I remember when I moved here, part of the problem I had was like feeling uncomfortable with being that resolved about it. So it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll just try. Maybe I'll just like try it. And then you just make people unhappy. And then they look at you with resentment because you weren't honest with yourself, right? So like, I had to get really comfortable. I think it's James Baldwin who said, you know, one of the responsibilities, I'm going to paraphrase, but he said one of the responsibilities of the artist is to cultivate being alone. Like you have to be able to be alone. That voice in your head has to be pure, not bogged down with, you know, Sheila's, Stacey.
How you gonna focus
Yeah.
on a task at hand if
Yeah.
that's what you're dealing with, right?
And like, you know, when you talk about preparation is getting to a point of a lack of distraction. And it feels bad to call a person
Completely
who needs a
isolating
distraction.
yourself.
Yeah. I think sometimes in relationship, I don't know how it is for you. I'll ask this like in return, how you feel about this, but like sometimes in relationship, a person wants, I especially find this dating women, right? Like oftentimes what they want is to know that they have your focus.
Right.
And that's understandable. But sometimes you can't get it.
That's the harsh reality.
Right? Like sometimes you just can't get it.
That's the harsh reality. I
And-
have that conversation.
Bro, I'm gonna tell you this. I learned this was a couple years ago. I was dating this girl. She was alright, whatever. And I wasn't watching my money. It was one night. One night we were hanging out. We'd gone out for a while. And I realized I didn't really like her like that. I had her around because she was kind of interesting for the moment. And the next day I woke up and I looked at my money. And I was like, I hung out with this girl I didn't really like. And in that time, I lost $10,000. I could have been watching my money.
You lost 10,000?
Yeah.
All right, how did you lose 10,000?
You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I was like, the money's the money. Money comes back.
Right.
But I just remember being like, I could be focused on that thing, or I could be focused on trying to appease a person that I just have in my life without feeling like they're my teammate, right? And I think, I don't know, like I deeply believe that relationships are important, but only the deep ones. Like, I don't know how it is for you. How have you found it? I mean, you seem to be an enterprising fella, right? Like, how have you navigated that space?
I think for me, I had to be able to find someone that was going to allow me to have my space.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean is, does it get frustrating for her? It does, because, you know, she's an entrepreneur. She is trying to thrive in the business that she's trying to do.
Yeah.
You know, so my wife does massages.
Okay.
She does cup therapy, and we just started the business of body sculpting.
Okay.
So she's like learning all of that, and we're trying to, you know, get together in a shop
Sure.
and stuff like that. So I'm always trying to help her, but what she had to understand is the harsh reality was this. I had to break it down to her. Baby, you know I love you. My thing is kind of like moving and grooving right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really hard for me to stop what I'm doing right now and focus on what you want to do or need to do. Because at this moment, you got to understand that my plane is taking off.
Right.
At this moment.
Right.
My plane is taking off now. So if I take
And
that
you
time
want me to
away,
stop it. Like the
I
amount
can't.
of speed required to take off.
Yes, I can't stop.
And you want me to like hit the. I can't
Just
do it.
imagine
Yeah,
if
yeah,
we're
yeah.
on a plane
Yeah, yeah.
and the plane stops. We all gonna be
Yeah.
freaked out, trying to figure out discombobulated.
Yeah.
When you treat your life like that, that's how you get sidetracked.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and trust me, there's been years and years and years of me not being able to focus on just a woman.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and now finally, you know, I feel like we have that partnership
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Now we're partners.
Yeah, and I mean, like, and I want to be clear. I'm not at all averse to partnership, right? Like
Right.
the idea of having like a woman in my life that like fits is amazing to me. But like you said, bro, that plane is
Yeah, I can't stop
yeah.
what I'm doing. And a lot of times that is what women require.
Mm-hmm.
Women require, like what children require. You have to literally stop what you're doing and put all the attention and focus on
Right.
them.
Right.
And the moment you don't, it's an argument.
Right.
It's a problem. It's an issue.
Yeah. I often find that like, and you know, I ask him about this all the time. I have this hypothesis that a lot of times, and like obviously this is not all, but I find that a lot of times women's esteem is socially based. Like it's not self-esteem, right? Like it's socially based. Who are they in proximity to, and how are they being treated? And that is actually pretty profound. Like in some ways, I'm like, damn, I wish I could like balance between the two, because sometimes I'm a little isolationist. But it can be a little interesting as a person so like self-driven to
Yeah.
navigate
Yeah.
that state of
Absolutely.
being. Like
Yeah.
I just don't understand it, right? Like I get it. It's not that I don't understand it. I can't share it. Like I can't truly empathize. Like I can't sympathize with it.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it's brutal, and I think, you know, being in this business, the actors are weird, bro. Actors are super weird.
Why you say that?
We're hella weird. Like one, there's a large range of us, and we function in this industry for a lot of reasons. Some people want to be the artist. Some people want to be the celebrity. Some people want to be the star. Some people want to be the leading man. Some people just want to be in the mix. It's hard, you know, when you're not really focused or in the scope of a job to really pick out what type of person you're dealing with sometimes. And like, sometimes we can be incredibly self-centered. And so like, I don't really like dating actors.
I've come to admit that I am a very self-centered person. I'm very self-centered, and I know that's nothing that's not gonna change with me.
Right. Like, that's who I am.
Yeah,
That's who I am.
I'm always gonna be about me. You know, and I can love you and be loyal to you and be devoted to you, but I gotta come first. You know, it's always gonna be me. You know, and I think sometimes, do you think that's a male thing, or do you think it's about our upbringing?
Oh, great question. I don't inherently think it's a male thing. I think the way it manifests in men, you know, more typically speaking, is through a direct aggression, right? Like direct pursuit. I find that men tend to be more directly pursuing the thing.
Right.
When as far as like self-centeredness is concerned. And I find that like a lot of times when I'm noticing like women with that power thing, they're often finding ways to leverage it towards them, right? Like, how do I get this to come towards me as opposed to like singularly pursuing this thing?
You're absolutely right. I see that a lot.
Yeah. And I just think it's super fascinating. I don't think one is better than the other. I think they're both kind of beautiful in their own way when they balance each other.
Right.
But no, I don't think it's just men that have that kind of self-centered thing. I think the desire for power is not gender-based at all.
No, it's not. It's not.
How we go about getting it is just different.
Have you ever dated a woman where it was kind of like she was too much involved with you're doing? Like, as far as like, you know, when you're dating someone who, when they start dating you, it's like they forget that their outside life don't exist. Where it's like they want to be a part of everything you're doing now. Like you go out,
man,
then they go out with you.
If I had to
your
admit
people
anything
become
about
their
me,
people
if
and
I had
stuff.
to admit anything about me, I've never let a woman get the chance. I don't think I've ever dated a person, like I've never dated anybody that's been that kind of doting. I probably never would. And I've never been that open about, generally speaking, letting someone into that part. Just because I'm a lone wolf in that way. Like, it takes me a while to get comfortable.
You
around
just
people
knocking
I'm
them
working
down,
with.
man.
Stop.
You just knocking them down, man.
You get me in trouble.
Hey, yo, I'm gonna tell you one thing, man. Anybody ever told you you look like an R&B artist? Sitting on my couch right now, you look like you about to have R&B album of the year, man. This guy too smooth, man. I'm telling y'all, he's way too smooth. This is why I like interviewing actors,
Yeah.
because you see the complete difference, but then the character change.
Sure.
You way too smooth, yo. It's either well, you smooth, but I could tell. I don't know who I could tell you are well media trained.
Yeah.
You are well media trained.
You know, I was on contract with the military for a long time as a performer, and they school you. About how to maneuver through conversation without putting people off, but also maintaining like order of boundaries. Okay. I'm also like, I just like talking to people, to be quite honest with you. I talk to anybody. Like, if we met out in public,
right,
and I was like, yo, that's an interesting person, like, I'm willing to go, I'm more entertained when you're not like me.
What you mean by that?
Like, if I see something interesting in you, and we don't have similar likes or goals or whatever, I'm more intrigued to like,
okay,
to dive deeper into like what makes you work.
Okay.
I don't think that's a common thing nowadays, but I think it's put me in some situations where like I've talked to people where I'm like, normally people wouldn't have conversations with these people. But here I am. And so there's very little that's going to stress me out at this point.
Because everybody want to be heard.
Right. Like,
once you understand that, right? Yeah. Once you understand that, I think it gives you a better way to learn how to deal with people.
Right. And I tend to end up, there's times when you start to head towards that hot button. And I always tell people, I'm like, hey, we don't have to talk about this. If we keep talking, I'm going to hurt your feelings. So if we proceed, just know.
I warned you.
I told you.
Yes. I told you. I warned you that this conversation could get a little.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't mean it could get a little. I mean, I'm gonna hurt your feelings. Like, I know what I'm going to say.
Right.
You don't. You're asking me to give you the thing that you don't want. We can redirect. It'll be just fine. I won't hold a grudge, no nothing.
Okay.
Or it becomes another thing, and then I'm like, okay, all right, here we are.
All right. Now, let's talk about how did you get the role as Obi in Power Ghost? How is it working side by side with Michael Rainey Jr.
Sure.
and the rest of them? And what's next? The HBO show.
Sure.
Now let's get into all of that.
Okay.
The role with Obi. How did that transpire?
So I'm gonna start back.
Okay.
So 2021, my mom passed away.
Sorry to hear that.
I went home back to Chicago. I was doing a play in Philly. Finished that out. Went home, took care of all that stuff. Then like my aunt passed away.
Double.
And like I was with my father. I took my father said I want to go see Zelma. I said, okay, cool. So we drove and they just hung out in the hospital. She died the next day. Then Pops had a stroke. I was like, come on, bro. Like, what's happening? So for 6 months, I was just in Chicago, being with family, taking care of Pops, whatever needed to happen. And like during that time, I auditioned for the role. And so I said, all right, whatever, you audition for stuff, leave it alone, fine. And so December comes around, nothing's moving. I'm like, hey, I'm cool being with family. Like the first week of January, I swear to you, the first week of January, I talked to my boy, and I was like, yo, I think I'm ready to go to work. I think I'm ready to like work again. And I'm chilling with my pops.
Like 9 to 5 work?
No. Like I'm ready to like go back to acting. Like you know, I was cool shutting it down.
Oh, okay. All right.
No. Nothing wrong with 9 to 5, but no. And so, like I said that, and maybe like 3 days later, 2 or 3 days later, I'm chilling with my father, my stepmother's at work, and we're just chilling out, watching TV, whatever. My management is like, hey, what you up to? Where you at? Chicago. Okay. Can you get to New York tonight? I'm like, yeah, of course. What's up? And they're like, power. I'm like, oh, word? They're like, yeah, but you don't have clearance from the network yet. They haven't said yes. They like you. They haven't said yes.
Stars?
So, yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, who cares, right? Like, if it's a maybe, I'm going. So they find me a flight. I have my sister come take care of the old man. I fly out, and they're like, all right, you got the job. You work tomorrow. You got a accent session in the morning before I report to set. So I'm like, okay. I did it like a Londoner. Because they were like, you know, he's Nigerian, but he was educated in England.
All right.
And so it's like, okay, well, I'm going to do it like a Londoner. Like, we can figure that out, whatever. And so I get there, and they're like, okay, well, we work. He's like, let's try a little bit more Nigerian at the root, but kind of, we'll keep it a little bit more British. Well, cool, so we work it out. We report to set. I do, you know, the COVID stuff, all that stuff, and like, oh, how was the dialect session? Like, it was great. You know, we came up with like London with the Nigerian influence. They're like, oh, no. Like,
scratch all that.
They're like, nah. Caroline's doing all the British stuff. We need you to be my Nigerian. And by the way, like, pictures up in like an hour.
Caroline is Noma?
Yeah.
Okay.
So pictures up in like an hour. And I'm like, all right, we're going to make it work. This is
Now
what
you
grad
gotta
school's
switch
for.
everything.
Yeah, this is what grad school's for. And so we start working. At that point, they said, you know, a couple episodes, we'll figure out how it goes. So, and by the way, like, sorry, I keep hitting that, but they don't tell you, like, when you're a guest star, you don't really get the script. You get your parts because they want to keep everything under wraps, right? They don't have you locked in to an NDA or anything. So I got my scenes. That's kind of it. I don't know nothing.
You don't know what's going on.
I don't know
in the show.
nothing. And so I'm trying to like figure it out. I'm trying to figure it out. Like, okay. And they just drop you in. I'm with Michael and Gianni and Woody and Alex, like the whole gang. Plus this like new person. The only thing that made me super comfortable was one of the dudes who was one of my henchmen back when I was on Gotham, was one of my henchmen on this episode. And I was like, okay, cool.
You saw a familiar face.
Yeah.
All right, so you saying that before coming to the set, you didn't meet no one.
Nobody.
So you was just thrown out,
Yeah.
just thrown in the...
And that's actually pretty common. When
I was told that.
Like, that's actually
I was
pretty
told that that's very common.
It's when you're a guest star, like the likelihood that you're gonna meet a ton of people is pretty slim. Sometimes you only meet casting. Like sometimes you don't even have a like chemistry session. So you know, I just did it. I did what I could. They're like, yo, it's working. Cool, thank you. And then they were like, hey, you know, you're in 8 out of 10. They like it. It's like
You ain't do no table reads,
Hey,
no nothing.
Nothing.
That's impressive.
Nothing. Like.
That's impressive, man. I ain't gonna lie.
And then it just started rolling. 2022 started rolling. After that, I booked another show that I was shooting at the same time. I ended up having to leave because I screen tested for another show. And then I booked Girls on the Bus that same year. Like, I was hitting, bro.
Once you came back, it was like
I was hitting.
everything on fire.
Yeah. I was hitting. I was like I was dumbfounded. Like, what's happening, bro? Like,
That was your blessing right
yeah,
there.
I attribute it partly to my mother's spirit, of just like I was really, really close to my mother. I'm super close to both of my parents, all three of my
Yeah,
parents.
I'm really
Stepmother,
close
too.
with my mom, man. Really close.
And I think sometimes, like, you know, you got one foot in both worlds. Like, you're trying to make sure your parents are all right,
Right.
and you're trying to navigate a career. And, you know, it was somewhat bittersweet in that, you know, you lose a parent, but you also kind of lose a sense of responsibility for them,
Okay.
right? Like, concern for my mother's well-being would keep my mind sometimes back in Chicago.
Okay. This is when she was alive.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I get why you say that.
You know, like,
It was a constant worry.
yeah. Like, okay, cool. I'm gonna do all this. I gotta run. I gotta audition. I gotta, you know, pay the bills. Blah, blah, blah. But you all right? Like, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while. You okay? And then, you know, when you can't ask that anymore, you can fully immerse yourself in what's happening right now.
That allowed you, pardon me for saying this, I don't want to be out of line, but this is the way that I'm taking it.
Yeah.
The passing of your mom allowed you to actually be able to focus
Yeah.
on your acting career.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, that felt horrible to say for like the first year. It felt horrible to say.
Hearing that, walking in the room and hearing that out of nowhere would make someone be like, what? What you mean? But when you're a creator, when you're an entertainer, we get it, bro.
Yeah.
We get it. That's why I understand what you're saying.
Right? Like,
because I get it. I get it.
And there's a level of, my mom could only move so fast, right? Like, I think every parent's, if they're a good parent, their job, their sense of responsibility is to make a better version of themselves,
Correct.
right? You want to make the upgraded version of you, the next gen. So there's only so fast my mother could move. There's only so much she could do. And her goal, my father's goal, was to make me the better version of that. I can move this fast. So when I went to Iceland last year, I went solo, and like on the drive, or like living up in the Hudson Valley, you know, there'll be times where I'm driving like, man, I wish like she was here, you know. But I can go that fast. That's her getting here.
Right.
And I have to give myself the freedom to like allow that in. I'm the eyes that she created that
Spiritually.
get to take this
Right.
in. That's a
Spiritually,
tribute
yeah.
to her work,
Yeah.
not in spite of her not being here.
Right. When you put it like that, I completely understand and understand why you say that.
I remember during her memorial, a bunch of her, you know, childhood friends spoke about her. And bro, the pastor, I went to give him the check, and he was like, nah. That was one of the most loving things I've ever seen. Don't worry about it.
Wow.
And like they talked about my mother, they're like, yo, she was the first one to lead the West Side. Of all of us, she was the first one to lead the West Side. She would take us to all these weird things and, you know, these weird concerts. And like, I was like, oh, that's why I'm like this. I'm the better version of that. So yeah, like, I don't know how we got here, but arriving at that place, like last night, I wished it was the one thing that I wished I had was my mother with me.
During
During the premiere.
okay.
Like that was like always a goal. Like I'm gonna take my mother to the red carpet. She's gonna get to stand next to me. Didn't get it.
This was the premiere for
For the Girls on
the
the Bus.
HBO series
Yeah.
Girls on the Bus.
But because of her, I'm there. That's crazy.
You know, I could tell that just from this conversation, I could tell you miss your mom.
Oh hell
And
yeah.
I know that she's, even though she's not here with you, she still has a big hold of influence
Absolutely.
on your career.
It's the OG.
Yeah, man.
It's the OG.
It's the OG, man.
OG.
Tell me, what is your relationship with your cast members on Power?
Bro, I've been incredibly lucky. I'll say this. When I was newer, there were times I would be on sets just as like a guest star or co-star, and I could feel the tension. Like I could just feel people not wanting to be there. But like, everybody's been cool. Everybody's been cool. Michael, Gianni, cool. Woody, cool. Alex, cool. Like, Caroline, cool. I'm literally on set with people I recorded off the radio. And they're cool people. Like, I'm watching Method Man be a cool dude. Like,
Be a lawyer.
no, as a person. Like, there's so many times they say, like, don't meet your heroes, right? Because you hold them in a regard
Yeah.
that you can absolutely be
Yeah.
disappointed in.
Yeah.
And I am so lucky that none of them were jerks. None of them were jerks. Everybody was cool, laughing, talking. Even when the days were super hot or whatever, you know, we shooting in that warehouse, Red Hook, and it's 90 degrees. No
Yeah.
AC, cause
No AC.
and I'm in a overcoat.
Mm-hmm.
The cast is incredible.
Yeah.
Everybody was super lovely. The crew is incredible. Under, you know, incredible time constraints and duress, I have nothing but high regard for my like the time I've gotten to spend on that set.
So Obi is a reoccurring character, though,
Yeah.
right? So
Are you still alive?
who that last scene,
Sure.
right, with the bang out
Uh-huh.
and everything? Who wrote that part?
Who did write that episode? Did Greer? No, Greer didn't write that episode. I can't even remember. We shot that in 2022, bro. Like, I can't remember who wrote that script. I feel bad. Don't come for me, bro. Like, don't mess with my residuals over there. I wish I could remember who wrote that episode.
It's a real perfect way to end the show.
Yeah.
I know, like,
Cliffhanger.
when y'all were reading it, when y'all were reading the scripts, did y'all talk about it? Like, amongst cast members, did y'all talk about how y'all was ending the season?
Nah, not really, because one, there's so many factors that go into that. And you gotta understand, like, you see everybody in an hour, right? Like, you watch the show, you see everybody in an hour. You know what our days are like? Like, there would be days I would fly in from Chicago, shoot my scenes, and then fly back home the same night. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I shoot my part, I'm out. Sometimes that's a 14-hour day. I ain't talking
Yeah,
to
man.
nobody, right? Like, I'm not talking to anyone. So, like, you know, you get to that part and you're kind of like, But you also know that there's a good chance they don't know, right? Like, there's a good chance they don't know how they're going to talk their way out of this, so.
Watching the
Okay, yeah.
show, I felt like Obi liked Tariq.
Yeah.
I feel like
absolutely.
Obi was trying to give Tariq
Yeah.
chances.
So-
I don't think Obi
yeah.
was like on Noma's side. Like, I think for the next season, I think we are going to see Obi switch sides and go against Noma and stay with Tariq and Braden.
That's a solid opinion.
Because the chemistry that I saw
That's a solid
was
opinion.
Obi was giving Tariq a chance.
I applaud you for having thoughts.
He was giving Tariq a chance, man.
I can't say nothing. But I will say, during those first couple episodes where I was figuring it out, like, you know, you're kind of patching clues together about how to build relationship.
Right.
And I think part of it was like, who's the easiest to see yourself in? Right? Like, a person who doesn't necessarily, I think part of that dynamic is like, you don't belong here. Right? Like, even if you're good at it, you don't belong here. And I think there's something that Obi identifies in that. Right? Like, this isn't actually what I wanted to do. This is where I ended up. And so I
Okay.
can see that in you.
Okay. Obi can see that in Tariq.
Yes.
See, that right there is the reason why I could see Obi helping Tariq in the next season. Because I feel like they have something there where the chemistry.
Yeah.
It's
a great opinion.
All right. I know you can't tell me. I know you can't tell me who
right,
dies,
right.
but does someone die?
Somebody always does.
I'm talking about does someone die in the warehouse?
You know I'm not going to say anything. You know there is no way.
No way,
I'm
right?
saying anything about that.
I thought I was going to be able to get that moment of clarity. I thought it. I tried to sneak it in there. It's really a great, wonderful show. Have you met 50?
No, he hasn't been on set while I was working. Yeah, so like I didn't really get to meet him. I get to see him on the Zooms every once in a while for like table reads and stuff. I'm like, oh, you scroll, you're like, oh, there he is, chilling out.
Does he have to, in order for the role to be solidified, he kind of has to sign off on it, right? So he obviously
Executive
liked.
producers and networks sign off. Absolutely.
He obviously liked your character.
Yeah.
He obviously saw the audition and stuff
Yeah.
like that. He obviously said you was a great fit.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think about that as much anymore. I consider if I got the job, I got the job, right? Like, there's two things that generally keep you employed. You fit, right? Sometimes they call it looking luck, and you garner healthy relationships on set. If you're a cool person to be around, it's way easier to stay employed. Like,
Yeah.
if people want to, most of your time is downtime. Like, we shoot a scene for maybe 3 minutes, a 3-minute scene, that'll take 3 hours. So most of the time, you're just sitting there, right? Like, and people don't want to be around a jerk. So I don't necessarily always think like, oh, do they like
3-minute scene could be 3 hours.
Bro, you have to factor in like, okay, so you got these two cameras, right? Like, imagine now you got a cinema camera. So this is half of it, but then we got to get the turnaround, right? So we got to do the whole thing again, and we got to move everything that's behind these cameras, including the cameraman, assistant cameraman, sound, bounce, lighting, boom op, all the electrical gear, all that stuff has to be moved to get the other coverage.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And that's a whole dance. If we're moving, the camera choreography has to be nailed before we'll rehearse it. Then we stand down, our doubles, our body doubles, our stand-ins come in, and then they do that dance without us. And then they call us back to shoot it.
Was there a scene where you freestyled it on Power?
Damn, I'm trying to think. I don't think so. It was all pretty tight. There's a couple freestyles that I'm not gonna point out. I'm not gonna point them out, but there's a couple.
Yeah, because if you point them out, I was gonna go back and watch. I was gonna go back and watch and try to figure it out.
Yeah.
But you know
But there's
what?
a couple.
I would go back and watch and figure it out anyway.
Right.
And when I'm watching, I'm gonna point it out and I'm gonna text you.
Yeah.
And try to ask you, hey, was this it? this seemed a little off. This seemed like you freestyled a little bit, bro. Was
And
this
then
a little off?
And then there's a bunch of stuff that doesn't make it. Like there's a bunch of like ad-libs, riffs, whatever that don't make it. So you say, all right, ends up on the cutting room floor, cool.
All right, so you just said a 3-minute scene could turn into 3 hours.
Yeah.
So you could be doing all that work for 3 hours and not everything makes it.
Oh yeah, they gotta cut. Like you have to cut some stuff. Sometimes the moment's too clever. Sometimes the writing is uneven. Maybe it works better on the page than it does on when you on the
camera.
video, right? Like
Okay.
they just got to figure that out. Yeah, it gets cut all the time. I would say like the show that
I
I'm
would
on
love
now,
to see the
like
cuts.
I finally we saw the cut last night of the girls on the bus. I was like, yo, they've been working on this for, I mean, like a year. And it's gone through so many iterations to get to what it was yesterday. And it tells a somewhat different story, which is great. That's what the editor does. That's what the story's made a lot of the time.
I have a subscription with HBO Max, so I'm definitely going to
Check it out. Check it out.
Yeah.
It's very girl forward. The basic premise is it's these women who are on the press tour during the primary elections.
Okay.
And so I play I play the fiance of one of them.
How did that role transpire for you?
So I mean, like all things, you audition. I auditioned for something else on the show. They came back with another role, and they basically they were like, okay, he's really supportive. He's also super ripped, and it was like, all right, cool. And so like I did the scene, like did my slate. You know, you say like name and height and location. I was like, also, you know, I had my shirt off. I was like, also like, I'm like pretty ripped right now. I can get super ripped in like a week. Just. And they're like, and they said, they're like, that's when we knew we liked you. When you like gave that little extra thing. So.
Did they see your work from Power?
Nah. No. I think often the decision isn't necessarily seeing, like I said before, a lot of it is about relationships. A lot of it isn't seeing you on camera. It's they talk to who you worked with, right? Like, so they talk to the second AD or the AD or the showrunner or producers. It was like, hey, how was this guy to work with, right? And that's what they often go on.
Okay.
Like, oh, we like this tape. Let's talk a little bit. Like,
So
was it cool?
It's kind of like, all right, like you see how we conducted this interview, right?
Right.
So now it's kind of like, let's say I get in contact with Michael Rainey Jr.
Right.
and he sees that me and you did an interview, so he'll reach out to you and
Right.
be
He's
like,
hey, is this dude cool?
yeah.
Is Ace cool? I'm like, yeah, like we had a great time. I might consider it. Like, yeah, like stop by. Oh, okay, all right, I'll think about it. You know, like
okay.
that's actually how it works more times than not. Like reputation is everything.
It is. Reputation definitely is everything.
So don't tarnish your name unless you don't plan on crossing that bridge again. If you don't plan on crossing that bridge again, though, burn it really brightly.
So we got Girls on a Bus.
Yeah.
It airs the
Still got
14th.
so- Yep.
It airs the 14th, right? Now, is there any more shows that you need to promote right now?
No, if you happen to be up in Albany for the next month, go check out a production of Sweat at Capitol Rep. I did the fight choreography for it. It's a brilliant show. Other than that, no. Just those two. Just watch those two. Just watch Power and Girls on the Bus. You'll be all right.
And Power is back, what, June 1st?
I don't know. Did you hear that?
That's what I saw. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's not June 1st?
I don't know.
Oh.
I said it and forget it.
Who's better, BMF or Power?
Power. I'm on Power.
You watch BMF?
No. My buddy's on BMF. He got killed with Buddy Miles. He's like
Oh, okay. Miles Truitt.
No.
No?
Bullock.
Oh, okay. All right.
The you can't stop the rain. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
That was him. He was the one.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to get in contact with him, too.
He's out in LA.
Yeah.
But that's my guy. Like,
Yeah, phenomenal. He
remember-
did a phenomenal
he
job.
was great. I love that dude.
Phenomenal job.
He was
man.
also just on. Did you watch the Vince Staples show on Netflix?
Yeah, I loved it.
Okay, so the robber in the first episode,
That was him?
that was him. Same dude.
I gotta go back and
Yeah,
watch it now.
yeah.
How did I miss that?
Because he got the face paint on.
Oh
Same
yeah,
dude.
you're right.
Same dude.
You're right. That was a good five
Yeah.
series. That was good, man.
We were
I'm
talking
waiting
the
to
other
see
day.
if that's gonna come back some more episodes.
We were chatting on the phone the other day, and I was like, "Yo, remember back in 2015, we were still in grad school, and I was like, one of us was humming the Power theme song, and I was like, oh, you watched that? Yeah, it's pretty tight, right?" I said, yeah. And then like we both kind of ended up in that world. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's the universe for you,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. I was driving somewhere. I might have been up in the Catskills, and like that song came on while I was driving. I was like, "Yo, I'm on that show." That's
Yo,
crazy.
Do you think it's wrong?
Hmm.
Do you think it is wrong for what Effie did to Tariq? She sold him out, man. Effie, you sold Tariq out to Noma. That was wrong. That was wrong. And Obi gonna end up helping Tariq. I'm calling it. I'm calling it. Obi gonna help him somehow,
Okay,
somewhere.
all right. All right. To reference back to what we were saying before about relationships,
Right.
is it more wrong what she did to him in a game of criminals, or is it more wrong that he let his guard down to a criminal? There's
Oh,
no
so
honor
it's
among
Tariq's fault.
thieves. It's no honor
It's
among
Tariq's
thieves,
fault.
bro. Like, you know, as they say, it's all in the game. Like, I mean,
He got just chalked that one up to the game.
yeah, like,
But he was helping her. He was helping her. But you know, Kane was helping her.
yeah.
Kane was helping her.
He helped her quite a bit.
Yeah. I want to see Obi versus Kane. I want to see Obi versus Kane.
Like, I would love to see that. I'd love to see that. I think Woody's probably my favorite to work with. Woody's great. Consistent.
He seems like he got a lot of great energy.
Yeah.
A lot of great. I remember watching him first when he was a part of the New Edition
Oh,
story.
yeah. Is Bobby Brown?
He nailed Bobby
Fantastic.
Brown. I
Out of
don't think
control.
nobody is going to play Bobby Brown better than he has.
Out of control.
Yeah, he was phenomenal playing Bobby Brown.
Yeah. Like, out of control. His upside is great. Like, I think, you know, more great things are coming from him. But yeah, he's just solid. Solid. Everybody, they're all solid. Everybody who worked with was solid. Like,
No, that's
I'm really fortunate.
good, man. I'm really looking forward. We all are looking forward to the next season
Yeah.
of Power. I heard June 1st.
I wonder where you heard that.
Yeah, I heard June 1st. Then I saw something that it was supposed to be in May or something. I don't know. You know, some people be creating their own little posters
Yep.
and putting the Stars label
Yeah.
onto it, and then it's all over social media.
Yeah, they tag
and then it'll take 50 to come out and be like,
no.
that's not it.
No.
Yeah, that's not it.
I'm about to swig some positivity. I apologize. It's just,
Positivity, alkaline water. I want to know who's the best. Well, I don't know if you're gonna want to answer this because
I don't want to
but
put
the
anybody in a negative light.
networks,
Networks?
Stars versus HBO. Two big, strong networks.
Well, yeah, we're through Warner Brothers, right? Like, so technically our production house is Warner Brothers.
with which
for Girls
show?
on the Bus.
Okay, all right. It's just being distributed through HBO.
Through Max, yeah. Like, because Warner Brothers owns Max now. That's why it's just Max.
Okay, right.
So you're asking me which-
they changed it from
which is
HBO Max to
better?
just Max. Oh, if not which is better, just which network you felt like you would do more work with more.
I mean, I work with either of them. There's such a, like, invisible part of the thing insofar as, like, yeah, how things are executed are determined by the network. But, like, really it comes down to the staff you're working with, right? Like, production staff, development, all that stuff, writers. I work with either of them. Nobody was horrible to me. Warner Discovery is in an interesting place. So, like, they have to right the ship a little bit. They've been struggling a little. But that didn't really affect my experience with them. Like, I had a great time. I mean, it's like asking me which it's like asking me which corporation or which brand treated me better, Coca-Cola or Pepsi. And it's like, bro, like, I don't really know how they treated me.
Okay.
And the products are different, right? Like Stars is doing a very different thing with regards to who it's reaching, who its target demographic is, what the tone of the thing is than Discovery is. And the shows are just so dramatically different.
Yeah.
Like the requirements on me are just night and day.
You never wanted to be on Law and Order?
Nah.
Nah.
Like as a regular?
Or as a guest appearance?
Yeah, I'll take a guest appearance on those. I was on Blue Bloods last year. That was awesome.
Which episode?
110, 113.
I'm waiting for Blue Bloods to come back.
Fake it till you make it. Yeah, I played like a cop who had his shield taken because he wouldn't follow a bad order, and ended up getting into it with his CO.
I think I did see.
And then he starts solving crimes on his own.
I wasn't working with Danny.
Also awesome. That dude got a lot of energy, bro. He has so much energy. It's wild. Like, he just has just this, like...
Moving nonstop.
Yeah. But he was awesome. They were all great. They did, so, crazy story. I didn't get this with my mother, but I got it with my father.
Okay.
So my father's addicted to Blue Bloods for a while. Like, it's all he watched.
Yeah, I saw every season.
Bro, that's all he watched. And so a couple of years ago, this was 2022. Like we're hanging out. We go like get some pie. We drive around, and we get back to the house. I'm like, Pop, what you wanna do? He's like, watch Blue Bloods. I'm like, all right, bro, cool. So I put it on, and like we're watching the show, and I'm like, I don't get it. I don't really get it. Like what is it? All of a sudden, they're like beefing at the table.
The family dinner.
Yeah. That's family dinner.
Right.
The dad and the grandfather aren't talking.
Yeah.
And daughter's like, yo, make up. Say you love each other. Hug. My dad is crying. I'm like, yo, what's happening? And he's like, I could never do that with my father. And I was like, okay. He's like, I never wanted that to be between us. I'm like, well, it wasn't. So obviously it worked.
Right.
And now I'm like kind of crying. I'm like, yo, what's up with Blue Bloods? Like, what's happening?
Got a little teary-eyed.
Not today, Blue Bloods. And so maybe like a couple months later, they reached, my management said, hey, you down to audition for Blue Bloods? I was like, yeah, I'll be the favorite kid from now on, like.
That is crazy how that
Bro,
worked out.
I
yeah.
got to watch my father watch it. So we were FaceTiming. And I told my stepmother, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be on Blue Bloods in January,
Wow.
And so like, I FaceTime, I was like, Pops, what's up? What you up to? He's like, watching Blue Bloods. And she's like, who's that? He was like, that's Kyle. I'm flabbergasted.
Wow, that's amazing, man.
And they did a video,
That's
Donnie,
amazing.
like Vanessa, they did a video like saying hi to him.
That is really
I was
dope,
like,
man.
yo, I don't need anything else.
We ain't get
Everything
that
else is
story
cherry
nowhere
on top.
else.
That's right.
We got it here. Moment of clarity. That's really dope, man. You got me about to tear up, man. Blue Bloods is one of my favorite shows,
It
man.
was crazy.
Yeah. Very family oriented on that show. I love those dinners.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
those dinners, man.
And and it's crazy because I wasn't a goon or a thug or criminal or nothing like that. Like I was like Batman for a day. You know what I mean? Like
A little vigilante.
Yeah. I was like,
He played a
this is
vigilante.
wild. This is wild. So yeah, I'll take that. I never really wanted to be on a procedure necessarily in any other way, just because they reset every week. So like as a job, you're not really building an arc. You're kind of just refreshing story every week. And I'm a little wilder than
Yeah,
that.
that's
Like, I gotta be in the
dude.
street.
That
Yeah.
that is what they do. Before we get out of here,
Sure.
right? I want to tell you that I feel like there's a show that I watched that's on Stars
Mm-hmm.
that I feel like you would be really good in. Hightown.
I haven't watched it.
You don't?
No.
I think you would be
Hightown?
really good.
All right, I'll check it
I
out.
think you would be really good on that show.
Yeah, I'll check it out. All right.
It's a real good. It's a
Hightown.
real
I
good
like
Star series.
Holler at me.
Yeah, holla at him, man. I think y'all need. They just killed off one of their big actors. Gosh, I keep forgetting his name. Me and him talk from time to time too, but I remember him as the actor who played Suge Knight. He played Suge Knight in the All Eyes on Me
Oh,
movie.
sure.
Yeah.
I don't watch it. Don't cancel me. I ain't watched that.
Hey, brother, I want to thank you for coming.
Not all eyes.
I want to thank you for coming. This was a really good interview, man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it.
I'm a fan of your work.
Thank you.
Anything, you got any premiere parties, any events,
yeah.
just send them my way, man, and I'll be right there. Y'all, King Ace, Moment of Clarity Show, Positivity Alkaline Water. You can catch Girls on a Bus streaming on Max
Yes.
March 14th. You can catch Power Ghost.
Whenever you want. Watch it whenever you want.
Watch it whenever you want. We don't have a release date yet.
Yeah.
Or maybe he just refused to tell me.
I don't know. I really don't know. Like, don't tell me
Moment of
nothing.
Clarity, King Ace. We out.